Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Between Two Brokers. Today, we have Trip Cummings with Barrier Pest Services.
Correct.
Oh, my gosh, I nailed it. Who you're on, actually, because the first time I met you, you made me laugh very hard for a long period of time.
What did he say? Do you remember?
I don't even remember. We were at an inspection.
It was probably a dad joke. I'm sorry.
There were definitely some dad jokes involved. Yeah. But we want to learn today from Trip some more information about pest control as it relates to real estate. Tell us all about termites. Tell us all about all the things that the public needs to know about in terms of what you do. So
start with a brief background. Like,
yes.
Where, did you grow up here? How'd you get in this business?
Originally from Spartanburg. I came to college in Charleston in 1991 and was a biology major there. The doctors out there, if you did well on the MCAT, you got to be a doctor. If you didn't do well on the MCAT, then you go figure out something else to do. So I ended up in this in pest control industry probably 25 years ago now, and have been employed. It would have our own company for 20 plus years now.
But how do you wind up in pest control?
How you wind? You just got a job. You meet somebody out of college that tells you how much money you should be making, and you could go work in pest control to do that. And the job I was in at the time was not that, and so it didn't really come to be what he was saying. But it just sucks you in, and but it's been an interesting career and a lot of fun and a lot of unique experiences for sure. We have a good time with it.
So you do all of your inspections, or do you have other people, or what does your company make up?
So I probably do 75% of the CO 100 inspections. I'm real involved in that aspect. I carry a residential builder's license, and that's probably unusual for someone to have that's doing these inspections, but it's very helpful for me when I inspect things. I can give people feedback on, really what things are. Is this significant? Is this minor? Things like that. But I do have that background and do majority of the inspections still for real estate closings and CO 100s.
So we've talked about CO 100s on the podcast before, but in case we have someone who wasn't listening, just explain what it is, what you're looking for.
Yep. So CO 100, it stands for clearance letter. I don't know what the 100 is for. Maybe they really should redo the form, so maybe the 200 is going to look better. But but it's the wood destroying organisms, and the insects are usually the big things. The termites are the main insect, but you have some beetles and other things like carpenter bees and some carpenter ants, but termites are the big insect on there. The other reason they just don't call it wood-destroying insects is because you have moisture as an organism that causes a lot of damage. But the moisture is below the first main floor of a house. It does not include roof leaks and stuff above the first floor. So there's limitations on what is reported for moisture on a house.
Okay.
But termites, really people call it the termite letter. And that's so much of it, but moisture in the especially crawl spaces is just as important as well.
So just so everybody knows, when we write a real estate contract, one of the things that you can check is whether you want to have a termite letter, clearance letter contingency on the contract. It is a part of every single one of our deals. Even if I don't check that box on the contract, I always have Trip come out and do the termite inspection and wood rot inspection. But basically, it's a 2-page report, and you have to notate moisture levels, and
Correct.
You have to notate basically all of your visual findings. And that was the other thing I actually remember about the inspection that you came to, is that you were commenting on the structure of the property. It was that one out in Kiowa River, and you said those were like the biggest.
The pilings were, they're incredible. So that's just well built home and stuff. But
and we had bees there.
Yeah, that's right. You had, because it falls, under something we look at and understand. It's not on the report, but I'm going to go, hey, you've got honeybees pouring out of the wall here. I'd be just a real idiot just to leave and not mention that to you. But
right.
Yeah. So
well, actually the inspection didn't notate it, but you also told me that you couldn't deal with that, which was a shock to my seller. So explain that.
So honeybees are, in the pest control industry, we really are trying to protect the bees, anything that's just not something you should be treating against, but bees are so important as pollinators. Their numbers are suffering so badly. So we're very cautious in mosquito applications and other pest treatments, but you want to get the bees out of the wall. You don't want to just kill them up in the wall. You'll end up with the honey that can just be a big mess for secondary insects and stuff like that. So you always want to let a beekeeper come in on something like that and take care of it.
Was there a comb in the wall?
I don't know, but he got everything out, and I
there's going to be there'll be a honeycomb.
You did deal with it?
No, I did not. No, man,
it's this guy's name.
No, we don't deal with bees, and you just leave that to the beekeepers.
Yeah. Usually, I think they just have to relocate the queen, and then everyone else follows.
Yeah, they do something. They dress up and smoke them and do something with them. But yeah.
That disorients them.
It's hard to say.
My husband used to beekeep on the side.
Okay. Of course he did.
Yeah, I have a beekeeper suit
on the side?
Yeah. Okay, so termites is obviously like the number one issue here.
Right.
Talk about why, what they do, what they look like, the worst case you've ever seen.
Oh gosh. So the Charleston's unique because we have something called Formosan subterranean. They were introduced somewhere in the 40s or 50s. Charleston and New Orleans wants to argue who had them first. It's not an award you really want to have, but they're very destructive. They don't occur throughout a lot of the state, but because of the damage they do, it's so important to make sure, if there's a problem with those, that's identified sooner than later. Our native species is Eastern subterranean. They don't show up very often here. We see that maybe about 10% of the times, and 90% it's Formosan. Formosan colonies are 10 times as large. They can store pockets of water above ground. They build carton nests. They'll I've seen them eat through tar. I've seen them eat through some soft metals, neoprene, just weird stuff. So they're really capable of doing some incredible things. But we got them here, and they're a major problem. They're just doing major damage. So that's a big part of our inspections and making sure if there's a problem going on with those, or if there's a past problem as well, just to identify that, hey, this looks like it's been a significant infestation and you got major damage as a result. But I've seen walls open up on homes and the whole structure, sometimes all the framing is just destroyed. And you may not see anything happening. They'll poke out sometimes when they have swarm season. But they'll stay in a wall sometimes many, many years with no evidence. Yeah. And you touch the pane, it's rippling, or there all of a sudden you got some dirt on the wall and you move the dirt and there's an insect looking at you. They're milky white, small, quarter inch or so, but they'll be staring at you. And I've heard some people do stuff like, well, we just put some toothpaste over the hole and we still have the problem. Well, yeah, it's not going to go away. And then people will also try to treat something like that. And if you don't get to the source, you've just done nothing but, just kill a couple termites in that area, and they're going to still eat the house.
And the source, like what? Just
so majority infestations are still ground based. 5 to 10% are above ground aerial. People always say, do y'all cover the swarming, the flying termites? Well, they all swarm at a certain point, but Formosans are capable of swarming into a above ground site, finding moisture and eating the house top down. Warranties and people want to call bonds. I'm big on trying to change the language to call it a warranty. Bond really should mean something else, but you've got warranties, and the insurance providers behind these warranties say we have to be able to prevent it to be able to provide coverage for that. If they fly in and there's a construction defect and they start top down, we couldn't touch it. There was nothing we could do to prevent that from happening. So we're seeing a lot of that where things they do start, and these beautiful homes now in Charleston. the guys that are doing flashing, they don't get paid enough, we don't have people that do the construction well enough sometimes, and moisture shows up, and it's a big problem.
It's always the fucking flashing.
It's always the flashing. Seriously.
Yeah, there's some neighbors.
better.
There's some neighborhoods around here that are just getting blacklisted because it's beautiful homes, but golly, the water problems are just something else. And these stucco fireplaces and foam being put on the houses still. I thought we learned our lesson with foam 20, 30 years ago, but they're
Okay, what's the lesson with foam?
with foam. So spray foam, any type of foam board. The termites like to, they'll travel through it. They don't eat it, but they'll eat through it. It insulates them well, they stay hidden, but it's a concealer. It's a big problem. And it holds moisture right up against the other surface that they're, sticking against. And the termites go in there and you don't see them forever.
But saying you don't think that foam should be where, though? Like if it's in the roof, it's okay.
So open cell in a roof. You want to see those leaks too. So that's important. Walls, it's okay, but crawl spaces, substructure, no. And some of these encapsulation companies are spray foaming the foundation walls, and they're putting it right in contact with the soil. And it just doesn't need to be on the foundation walls. It doesn't need to be in the crawl space anywhere, with exception if you put a little piece over a vent opening to enclose it for a dehumidifier, or around maybe some duct work where you're trying to re-insulate that boot, but nowhere else.
Gosh, you have to be so careful when you hire somebody to work on your house.
Well, of course, the spray foam guys are going to sell you the spray foam, and
but they can ruin.
But here's the thing: really, when you get down to insulation, you shouldn't insulate your crawl space in Charleston. Code, you're supposed to, but power company says you save about $50 to $100 a year having a crawl space insulated. It hides moisture. Rodents live in it. It falls down. It costs money to put up there. So by the time you've saved your money, you've got to replace it, and you've caused a lot of other problems. So no crawl space insulation is the best thing and helps us out tremendous.
Right. And I think that's a misconception, because when people are buying houses, like some people that had insulation under it, it's like, oh, reinstall the insulation. And I always tell them just to take it down.
Well, in Mount Pleasant, you're going to deal with the code's going to get you. If you're doing a remodel or something like that, they're pretty strict on making sure you're re-insulating. So you gotta figure out a way to balance that, but no spray foam, batten insulation only.
So let's say you're building a house in an X flood zone and you can do whatever you want. Mm-hmm. Would you build slab, crawl space, or elevated?
That's fine. I'm actually building a elevated home right now, and there's benefits and advantages to them all. Crawl space, the biggest problem is the moisture in there. So if you're building a crawl space, if that's the way you're going to go, probably start with a dehumidifier from the get-go. Just go ahead and condition that space, and then you've taken care of that. That's the biggest headache with crawl spaces. Slabs, you take away that crawl space, but people want to be off the ground a little bit. I know they've got the elevated slabs and raised slabs that gives you that. And I'm fine with anything, but just if you're going to do a crawl space, just condition it from day one.
Mm-hmm. And the biggest issue with elevated homes, and by that I mean like being able to park under it. Is it just like wood to ground contact?
Well, there's a lot of that, but we used to think elevated homes, they were the easiest to take care of, and there's some of the most difficult now, because usually if the home is getting elevated, there's a lot of construction features that are prone to moisture problems. Mm-hmm. So flat roofs, that's another. If you don't pitch a roof well enough, and the flat roofs, they're holding water, and then they find that water and they go down from there. The porches, and just a lot of complexities, a lot of these elevated homes, unfortunately. So. But yeah, just making sure it's watertight, and avoiding some of these high-risk construction designs are very important.
And then before any construction starts, you treat the soil.
Treat the soil, yeah. Well, some companies are going to go, and you go around, and you might see the greenhouse or the blue house, and with the studs that have been painted, or borate's been applied to it. The builders have really enjoyed that, because what's happened when a home is being built and you're trying to do a soil pre-treatment is the soil may be too wet. So we might have to tell the builder, we can't do that today, which means the builder can't pour today, and that's frustrating. So these companies have come in and offered borate treatments on the wood and they spray it with a tracker dye and put the wood maybe 2 feet up and 2 feet out from where it touches concrete. I've seen the Formosans they go right on top of it. They go through, if you got like a double stud, they'll go right between the 2 studs, and it never stops them. And builders are using that as an only treatment source. As a secondary, it's okay, but I don't recommend it really for anything. But there's companies that'll choose to do it, and they'll probably put some chemical in the ground eventually because it's just not a good idea.
Well, and the soil treatment, like how deep do you go? What does that look like?
Yeah, so
the whole lot?
You're right at the top of the footing. So you trench around the foundation, you apply the product, it stays right up against there because you're trying to have a barrier where termites are coming up from the ground trying to go into the structure. So if you're too low, you're going to miss them. So you really want to be right there at the kind of the top of the footing, is how that's applied. Bait stations are another product that gets used. Some companies do that as a standalone. I don't recommend that. The Formosans, it only works if they go feed on the station. We're seeing a lot of complicated homes with crawl spaces being encapsulated or really decorative stonework. We'll use a bait in conjunction with a liquid in those situations, but not as a standalone system. But companies will say it works great for them, but we like to make sure we have a liquid treatment on every home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When you are offering a warranty, right?
See, I already got you convinced. You're not saying bond. You want to say bond, didn't you? But you said warranty.
I said warranty.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yes.
So your company does offer termite warranties.
We do. Yes.
Okay. So explain what that involves. So obviously now I'm going to have you come do a warranty on my house because you said that bait stations aren't enough, and that's all I have. But anyway, so what's involved with that? You come out, you take a look at a property. What I want to know is because you're not going to put a warranty on just any house. So for instance, if I had spray foam insulation, you'd say no way. So talk about some of those things and then the cost to do it and what you do.
So first thing we come out, do an estimate, look at the home, look at the construction design right off the bat. And we're looking for things like spray foam, flat roofs, stucco, anything like that. That's going to be problematic from what we call repair warranty. So we will try to offer something on every home, but a repair warranty, we're definitely it's getting harder to qualify that. If we see things like that, we're going to be talking about a service warranty, which means a retreatment only warranty. So you still treat a house the same way, put chemical against the foundation, you drill attached slabs, inject those slabs, bait stations are applied in conjunction with a liquid if necessary. We do a graph of the house, note any pre-existing damage. If a house is these older homes downtown are getting harder as well. If you've got a lot of pre-existing damage, we're probably only going to offer service warranty because we don't want to be responsible for old damage on a house. If termites crawl up and there's been some pre-existing damage, they find their way to it. Somebody could argue, well, you found live termites. You should be responsible for all that. And so older homes, a lot of damage, you're probably only going to get service warranties. But there's some companies now that are even choosing not to offer a service warranty at all. So, but we still can offer repair warranties, but it is getting harder to do that. And the criteria it's getting more difficult for sure.
So how much does this warranty cost?
So it's less than $100,000 on every house so far. No, we really look at it. I would say a lot of the homes in our area, it's probably starting around $1,000 to $2,000 initially, and then a yearly renewal is going to be paid yearly there. And it's probably $250 to $500 in there. It just depends on if you've put a bait system or 2 systems or whatever it is. And
how often do you come out?
So we're out at least yearly, and we're going to do an inspection of the house, give you a written report and feedback on anything. If there's a problem, we're not just going to hand you the report. We're going to discuss that with you. Do you have something leaking? Do you have water in the crawl space? Do you have active termites or something else happening? Of course, we're there if there's a problem in between. We get a lot of calls when the swarm season comes, and for Formosans, it's in May, June. And so we'll get a lot of calls about that. We have to go and check those out and just say, is this normal or is this a problem? But at least yearly we come by and check on it. If everything goes well, we're not going to do any retreatment until year 10. One thing unique about our program is that we're not going to charge you for those retreatments. Some companies, every 5 or 10 years, they'll charge you for any additional retreatments. And we're going to cover that as maintaining your warranty. So it's about a 50-50 how companies do that. Some of them will offer that same retreatments included, and others are going to charge you each time they have to do anything.
I want to ask you about real estate contracts. So I'm sure real estate agents drive you crazy.
No.
And we drive each other crazy when we're negotiating. So, for instance, one thing that frequently comes up on a CL 100 report is like fungi.
Fungi. I'm fungi like me. I'm fungi.
Yeah, you're a fun guy.
Fun
That's
guy.
why
It's
you're
like dad
here.
joke.
Fungi. I'm sorry.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we've got fungi,
Which is
all
rot.
over.
Which is just rot.
Okay.
That's just a good word for rot.
Okay, or what about mold or mildew on piers and stuff? So then somebody goes in and then they're like, well, you have to pay to have all of this cleaned off, but it just comes right back, right?
Depends. All right. So for us as pest control people, especially right in the CL 100, we're not allowed to use the M word. Mold is not, we don't talk about it. We got a disclaimer that says we don't know anything about mold. So it's when we do something with a CL 100 inspection, we're looking at that, and we've got to suggest things that are going to prevent moisture problems from reoccurring. You have to control the moisture. These fungal treatments, it's going to kill that, but you can still have elevated moisture come back into an area. But the mold treatments, it should not ever be recommended on a CL 100. I see some companies doing it. It's not a corrective measure for preventing excessive moisture. So you shouldn't be having a company do that. Now, home inspection, they can ask for that, but from a CL 100, no. But yeah, so we go through homes and you see tons of wood decay, rot, fungi, and we're looking to make sure the levels are not, excessive, which is 20% or above. 20% to 27, they say inactive wood decay, and then at 28 above, it's active. It's a misleading term. Inactive just means it's happening slower than active, but you're still getting a level of decay. And a lot of the homes we see will get into the range of inactive, a good amount of times. The active, you got leaks generally, or you just have a rainforest under the house. It's really, really bad. I mean, there's some of these homes, it's just like they're sweating. It's so bad sometimes. But
what is the situation that creates that? Is it certain parts of town? Is it a certain way of construction?
It's Charles. I mean, it's the humidity.
yeah.
We're in a subtropical environment, so you're out there. All the humidity's coming into the crawl space. It settles out, and you've got that nice, damp, cool crawl space, and just perfect for the moisture to find its way in there and hang out. We used to. 20 plus years ago, and unfortunately there's some that did not get the memo, but you don't put a fan on the side of the house to suck the warm, humid air into your crawl space more readily. We used to think that was a good idea to we're going to clear out the crawl space with this nice, warm, humid air, and it was not solving the problem. So we see homes where you're supposed to have one ventilator over every 150 square feet. But we go to crawl spaces that they don't have any ventilation. They do well. We've got some that have tons of ventilation. They're not doing so well. But it's controlling, making sure that outside air is just not coming in that crawl space. It's just so important. And so these condition systems and encapsulations have become so important. And I was skeptical at first, but that's about the only thing I see correct in some of these crawl spaces that have had bad moisture problems.
Mm-hmm. So when I write the contract, I don't put the CL 100 contingency in there. I have you do the inspection so we can do it during the due diligence period. But the reason I don't is because the majority of CL 100 reports come back with something on it.
Right.
So, I mean, what percentage of CL 100 reports would you say are squeaky clean? Like there's nothing.
So nothing on there. I mean, it's the new constructions, and
right, that's it.
I mean, with 10%, maybe 20%. And this is another thing that when you ask what I thought about real estate agents earlier, the one thing that I'm always trying to educate them on is this? They call me up. Is this a clear letter? Is this letter clear? Is it dirty? And I'm like,
Dirty.
Is there damage boxes checked and recommendations? It depends on what your contract is. We're not pass failing. It's whatever your contract is. So we'll write these reports, hand them over, and they should look at what their contract requirements are to say, do we need to do anything with this, or is this okay? But generally, to answer their question, which I'm not going to answer by failing or passing or clean or dirty, is recommendations are checked, and if you have damage, you're going to probably have to do something with someone else to get this thing moved along.
Right.
Contractor or moisture control expert or something like that.
And I don't even think you're the person they need to ask if the CL100 is clean. It's the closing attorney. When they look at your report, they're the ones that throw up the red flag.
I don't think you need to ask anybody. You read the fucking report and figure it out for yourself.
Not everyone's as perfect.
Well,
as listen, real estate agents.
I've been on the phone. I'll play the part of real estate attorney. I can do all kinds of things. Sometimes I'm a counselor as well. But no, it's yeah. There's I guess a lot of questions. I've got a lot of experience with that too. There used to be, now in fairness, so the agents that have been around for a little while used to have a report that was issued and it had check boxes that would say, do we recommend a contractor? Yes or no? Are you going to be, doing the repairs yourself? And does this require repairs? And what they did is they looked at the report, and the state looked at it and said, all these guys are not contractors, and they're all checking the box that says recommend licensed contractor. So they took away that recommendation or not recommending things, and just kind of pass along. So damage box check now probably means you're going to have to get a contractor.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah.
All right, give us some horror stories. Like, what's some of the worst shit you've seen?
What do you want to talk about? Rats, termites?
All of it.
Yeah.
All right, so
what's the gross?
So probably, I went into a lady's home in Goose Creek probably 15 years ago, and her older lady, her parents had both passed, and she was living in the house. And she called me up, said she was having a problem with rats in her house. And I said, okay, well, let me go out there and check this out. And I walk in, and right away I knew there was a pretty significant problem. There was a dumpster in the driveway with a bunch of stuff in it to start off with. But I'm walking in, and I look on the floor. She had two big dogs, and there's just 50-pound bags sitting everywhere, where she would open up the dog food, feed the dogs, and just throw the bag on the floor. And I'm walking through the hallway, and I'm stepping on nothing but empty bags of dog food. And I get to the kitchen, and there's this major hole in the floor. And this is a nicer neighborhood up there in Goose Creek, and nice furnishings in the house and all that. And I felt so bad. She looked at me and she said, I really need some help with this. And I said, she said, I've been dealing with rats for a long time. And I said, okay, well, let me see what I can do. She goes, at night, I have to throw some food down at the floor because they'll nibble on my toes otherwise. And I said, oh boy, this is going to be a good one. So I think I took about 24 snap traps, and we wouldn't normally put up snap traps on your kitchen counter. But next day I went back, and I think there were about 18 of them just in there, and they were running around while I was in the house to start off with.
Right.
I mean, there was not enough hiding spots for them. So yeah, we worked on that for a while, and I think we got it in a good place, but it needed more than what I was able to.
How many rats are in a nest in a situation
that? They can. It's not just one. I mean, that's the thing, is we get a call all the time. People are like, I got one rat. And I'm like, or,
Did you have to explain to this woman that you don't feed them?
Well, she wanted her toes not to be bitten, so it was. I was like, I understand. I mean, I could appreciate that. And then downtown, I was doing an inspection years ago, and I went over to the house, and I come out, and I just didn't know how I was going to approach the couple that was in there. This is near Crosstown, and I was doing an inspection for them, and I walked up there, and the woman goes, "Did you see anything that we need to know about, or anything unusual?" And I said, ma'am, I don't know how to explain this to you, but I think somebody's living underneath your house. There's a sleeping bag, and someone has set up kind of a nightstand, and it just looked like they were really getting comfortable under there. And the woman, it didn't hardly get out of my mouth, and she looks at her husband, and she goes, "I thought you told your brother he needed to move out." And I was like, oh. I don't even think I gave it. I just left. I think at that point, that's just like, well, maybe you didn't know. I don't know.
Oh my God!
Well, I wasn't expecting that trip.
No,
that's
but
amazing.
Yeah, but now, and then just termites. We just see houses that are just absolutely ravaged.
But it doesn't matter. One thing I think that's a misconception is that people think that it's like an older home, but you have this with newer homes, right?
If I had to go and take care of an old house or a new house and do absolutely nothing and go, I'll pay for the damages, I would take that older house. They're built better. Mm-hmm. The lumber is harder, especially these downtown structures. Also, about 1982, there used to be a product called Chlordane, which was this almost equivalent of diesel fuel they were poured in the ground. Those older homes have that chlordane around it, which was nasty stuff. It stayed around forever. These newer homes after that don't have any residuals like beyond 10 to 15 years. So, yeah, the older homes, they're easier usually, and they can take a lick. And these new ones, termites get on there for a moment and usually pretty significant damage.
Yeah.
I'm unwell.
Oh, I can get you real creepy.
Let's go there.
I got home. I go to, and you're like, there's no way I'm still in the same country. I had to have left the country when I walked into this house. So yeah, it's I've had roaches.
The guy had a nightstand.
I had roaches. I mean, I've went through front doors and roaches are falling on you as you walk in the door, and you ask the person, how are things going here? They said, oh, we're seeing a couple roaches, and I just got a shower of roaches. Bed bugs are the big thing that's coming on the scene now too. It's reading about France, and it used to be like you thought, you go to these sketchy places or poor country, what they're anywhere, and it just nothing you can do to protect yourself. Yeah. These hotels now and theaters, it's a real mess with that.
How do you treat those? Like
they usually heat the house up when they find them and stuff. But I walked in homes and I could look at the ceiling and I could see them lined up, and that's really. And you're looking at the person, it looks like they've got a bad case of poison ivy, and they go to sleep, and it's they're the meal.
It's a feast.
Oh my God.
They're the meal. So it's a real mess. But yeah, that's been about the craziest insect that we're dealing with right now. That's and we do limited treatment with bed bugs, but
that's like a new thing.
It's been around, but it used to be the just a little catchy. Tell your kids don't let the bed bugs bite before you put it in bed. But no, it was in the last 10 years. It's been incredible.
Airbnb's probably to blame for that too.
International travel is really the big thing. Really international coming over, and the countries that we had eradicated them, we brought them back in. Others brought them back in.
Mm-hmm. So the moral of the story is, don't go anywhere and don't
check
let anyone
your
in.
you pull your sheet back when you go into the hotel. Take a look at it and look for little things look like little apple seeds and stuff.
Oh,
yeah, and if something starts moving on your bed.
Oh my gosh, Trip.
Yeah, I know.
Let's talk about another animal that is good for the environment, but people don't want in their house, like honeybees. Bats.
Bats. Okay. All right. So bats. It's been a real problem with bats here. We're hearing more and more of these, especially these new structures. It used to be an old structure problem, but it's getting to be a real mess and it's expensive. So we don't do bat control. The wildlife guys come in, and the problem with bats is they're federally protected. So you have to, you can't mess with them all the time. And so if they got pups, they can't exclude them, and they have to wait for that to happen. I think that happens in the summertime, but it's really expensive. But they're getting in there and making a mess, and people will just see a mess of bats come piling out of their house.
But the way that it will.
Is that the official name for a group of bats?
Mess or gaggle, maybe, I don't know.
Okay, so let's say you live downtown and you're hanging out on your fabulous piazza, and you see them. Mm-hmm. So. But the way that that you have them is really smell, right? People,
sometimes it'll be that, or they're just sitting outside, they look up, and all of a sudden there's all these bats are coming out of the side of their house. So it's, but it's a lot of them too. It's no mistaking it when it happens. Mm-hmm. Downtown, if you got some of these structures that people are not going in their attics, a lot of these homes downtown, they're not usable space and stuff like that. So they'll see. They'll see them or smell something, but a lot of times I think they're actually just somebody discovers it from doing something else. They're doing heating and air work or other, that's it's usually not the homeowner until somebody tells them about it.
Right. I always tell my clients, and I don't do this, but I'm like, you need to have a contractor come do a lap around your house, in your house. You're covering the crawl space when you go out there, but do you have an attic? Mm-hmm. Yeah, have you been up there? Mm-mm. Even squirrels are a pain in the ass.
Squirrels, too. Squirrels.
They get in the attic, right?
Squirrels are a mess, and we don't. I like my weekends, and I like having my nights off, so we don't deal with wildlife. So when someone calls us and they've got squirrels, and we're quick to refer that to a wildlife company. But squirrels. It's getting cooler right now. Well, we think it is. It's 80 something degrees here today, so it's getting cooler eventually, but. Everything's starting to move inside.
Yeah.
So like the mosquitoes stop, and it's like rats and mice. Well, we don't really have many mice, but occasionally.
Oh, I love it when people are like, I think we have a mouse in our house. I'm like, that ain't no mouse.
No, you just have a small rat.
That's
yes.
a rat.
But yeah, so everything else is starting to move in now. So they flip a switch and it goes. We're dealing with rodents now, and but yeah, we do limited with that, but yeah, they're a real mess. Yeah,
I had some clients and friends in City Farm who had a German cockroach issue, and those are not native to here, correct?
Yeah, they brought them in. Yeah,
right. And so
from Germany, actually,
I think her whoever treated it said that you need to open all your like Amazon boxes and stuff on the porch because that's where they can come in.
I mean, you can. I mean, people will start saying stuff like that. People that have German cockroaches, they want to come up with another way that they didn't bring them in there or something, or because it used to be, oh, you're just a nasty person if you got German cockroaches, but. It's easy. You bring in one pregnant female, there's 30 or 40 in an egg sac. And so it's game on, like right away. Like it can populate a house very quickly. Farmers markets, people say you go to farm, open your boxes and bags and all that. And then we'll get the story. Oh, they tore a house down, eight houses down, and we got roaches now. It's like, that's not how it works. You got them in here somehow. You brought them in here. They're here. It's not the end of the world. We don't have to come up with some way to, they're just here. We'll deal with it. But yeah, they used to be our pretty tough insect. It still is. It can be extreme in some cases, but yeah, they're like the bed bugs came in and made German cockroaches look pretty easy. I mean, God. But they're a problem still.
I have an app on my phone where you can take a picture and it'll identify the insect, which is probably thwarted hundreds of calls from me to you because it's like it's a rice weevil or whatever. They're harmless. Just throw it away. But I recommend everyone get one. They're really fascinating.
Wow.
You can read all about these bugs.
Oh my gosh. Well, anything else you think?
No.
I mean, you have to, if you are able to, get a termite bond.
Warranty.
Excuse me.
Thank you. Warranty.
And when you are purchasing a home, you must get a CL 100 inspection. For real estate agents, you need to insist that you're
what I'd add is we hear about this all the time. We're just going to go with a company that's been taking care of the house for the inspection. Well, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, you've had somebody, when are they going to tell you about a problem they hadn't told you about for 10 years? So get that, get someone else to look at it.
Independent.
Yeah, but people think it's crazy when I go, well, we're going to go with the same person. Well, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Right.
But
I agree with that. Tripp, thank you so much for coming on.
Absolutely.
Tell everybody how they can find you and Barrier.
Yeah, I'm easy to find. So our website is barrierpestservices.com, and number is 843-225-8250. I answer the phone most of the time if you hit the right button, but we'll be glad to help you out.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming. Thanks so much for tuning in. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. Check us out at Between Two Brokers on Instagram and at Smith Spencer Real Estate. See you next time.